All right, shit, we're back after weeks and weeks of I don't know,
Been a
just being
while.
busy. Yeah.
Been a while. We have been
Yes.
busy. You've been very busy in Singapore and floating around the world on
Yeah,
your world tour.
trying, man. Well, it's not even a world tour. It's like I went from Phuket to Singapore. That's like an hour flight. That's nothing, you know what I mean?
Could
But
walk there.
yeah, shit. Uh, yeah, that's pretty damn close compared to like wherever you guys fly, from New Zealand to fight. But yeah, the 275 was wild, man. The road to UFC shit. That's kind of cool. I like seeing like the prospects, the guys that are hungry come in and fight during fight week during a big pay-per-view. It's a different feel, compared to like Yuri. Because I watched Yuri for the last like a month, getting ready for his title fight, and
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
different feel from watching him and then watching like these youngsters. Because there was youngsters there at Bangtao training for the road to UFC, and everybody won, which was, it's always nice when everybody wins, right? That was training at the gym, so they're very happy.
It's as good as it gets, brother. You can't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah, you gotta enjoy it, I guess, where you have it, because it's not gonna always happen like that. But yeah, man. So just busy, sick. I got sick here, and I couldn't train for a couple of weeks. But this week I got back into the mix of things. Next week I start to add wrestling and more of the groundwork, and it's gonna suck. I know it's gonna fucking be terrible.
That's my favorite, brother. The wrestling's my favorite. Nothing's worse. Like nothing can get. Life can never get worse than that. It's perfect.
Yeah,
It's what this is. It's what this is all about.
yeah. Some people, I think they need to, like, if they think
You
their life
think
is
you've
bad.
you think you've been tired before. You've never
Yeah,
been tired like that.
no, no. And you just watching some of the wrestling sessions, you get tired from just watching them dudes just mix it up, and it's wild, man. Like, people need to go watch some wrestling classes or wrestling sections at a
No,
pro
they need
gym.
to get off their ass and go do it. Do it.
Yeah,
Just do it.
that's true.
Just jump into a wrestling class. Give it a go. Just do it once. Then sit back on your couch and you'll know why.
Why you're not a fighter? You'll figure it out real quick. Figure it out real quick. All right, so hey, the main event, the featherweight fight is, I guess a lot of people thought, or they're saying that this could be a title eliminator. Whoever wins this fight will fight for the title next. Makes sense, you know what I mean? And you yourself, you're in the featherweight division for a while. I felt like these one of these guys you would have eventually fought if you would have stayed at featherweight. And when you look at Emmett and Kattar, they stood up and banged for 25 minutes, and it was close, man. I thought it was a very close fight. I don't know if one guy, I would have been mad if Kattar would have won. What about you?
So they had a just like an unspoken agreement that they were just gonna box, right? Like it was just one of those fights. Like you don't kick me, I won't kick you. It was quite a cool. Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you see like two specialists because everyone knows those two for their hands, right? Knows those two for their boxing. So it was kind of cool to see them get into that agreement. Oh, boxing with a couple of elbows and a couple of shots thrown in there. But besides the front kicks, that was really all the feet that were coming off the ground in that one. So it was just a cool fight. Um, I thought the jab at Kattar, I thought Kattar's jab throughout that, like landing consistently, was like the most dominating thing of it. Like if you had to peg or pencil any one thing down as like the most dominant from that fight, for me it would have to be Calvin Kattar's jab, which just could not miss. Like he was just repeatedly finding the target, and you could see the damage that was accumulating on Emmett's face by the end of the fight. Like I thought that's what was going to be scored. Like I could definitely see it. Like just when Emmett comes in and he lets him go and he swings, um, and you got to bounce up and cover. Like even though nothing's really landing, just like the intensity of someone coming in and throwing like huge combinations like that sometimes sways judges, which it did in this fight. But if you had to come down to like who effectively landed more, then I would say Emmett, like throughout that fight. Like I had Emmett winning at like 3-2 or 4-1. Like I would have to go back and obviously watch it again. I've only watched it live in the once, and I don't like to score fights while I'm enjoying them. Let's just say that. But yeah, I was leaning towards Kattar at the end of that. Just the accumulation of the damage. Like I felt he had, like, Kattar was never like hurt or wobbled, whereas Emmett was hurt and wobbled, and also like just an accumulation of damage. So the accumulation of damage, I would say, like the more effective damage was coming from Kattar. But yeah, just one in the air. Like I thought it was quite going into the 5th round when his corner was saying like 3-1, like you got it 3-1. I was like, whoa, that's a bit. I thought that was them taking a guess, taking a punt, like a little too early. But like that's actually how it played out at the end of the fight, which was quite interesting. Yeah, but for me, I had it Kattar, but again, like so close. There's nothing. There was nothing really in it, you know.
Yeah, because when you look at the numbers, right? When you look at the numbers, it seems like Kattar landed the more punches, more strikes, right? Looking at the numbers round by
I don't know
round.
what those guys score,
Yeah.
man. Like that's the that's like that's the unofficial stats, or the official
Yeah.
stats out, right? Like those are unofficial. Like that is to use those, like that's pissing in the wind some of those times. Like I don't know if like a UFC intern or something is the guy that gets that job, or like the guy that does that job just has never done like a kickboxing class, because like you'll slap a guy like go like swing and it lands like this, like lands on a shoulder, and he'll just click like strike. You know what I mean? Like that's not a punching a guy in the shoulder is not like a significant strike or like an effective strike to me. Like let's say if that punch landed 10 times, it would hurt. Then that needs to be a counter punch. Like if it's a jab touches the nose, like obviously like that's a thing. But once you actually slow down fights and like really look at the shots that land, like a lot of the times when Emmett was coming in and swinging big, Kattar had like his Philly shell and was bouncing a lot of those and catching a lot of those off of his shoulder. So I didn't think that, even though, yeah, like those stats by the end of the fight, like I thought they weren't fear of how I saw the fight in real life.
And when you watch the fight, you know, like Danae, he's saying that Emmett, he's asking you, did you have Emmett winning even though Kattar was on the back foot but had volume? That's the tricky part, right? Like he's on the back foot, he's going backwards, but he's landing shots. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
in some judges' eyes, like Emmett like moving forward and kind of like clipping him, like, you know, 1 out of every 5 shots. It almost seems like that could be winning in a certain judge's eyes compared to like Calvin Kattar on the back foot jabbing and almost like hitting him at a very, very constant rate compared to like Emmett.
So much goes into it. Like obviously it takes like a very experienced or like a well-trained eye to see shots, like to whether a shot like glances off a shoulder or whether a shot like connects. And a lot of that comes down to like, because I've sat as a judge in fights and like you'll see an exchange and you're at like the back of one guy and the other guy like sees it clear as day. So sometimes you like see the punch come over, bang, like land on the guy's chin, and you're like, whoa, that's like an effective, he's winning this round. But if it's like if the guy's like this, right, and you see the punch, like you might just think, oh, you might just like, if you're the judge that's sitting there and you're just like that looked like it missed. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. There's so much goes into it. Like say like the 1 or 2 big moments in that fight, the judge is just staring at the back of someone's head. How does he score that? You know what I mean? Right? You're completely. They're not sitting there watching a computer screen. They're not sitting there with replays. They're not watching it with 3 different cameras, which maybe they should to score it effectively. Like they're watching one angle, like live, and they have to make a split-second decision as to something is effective or not effective. So it's a pretty unforgiving role. But from where I was sitting with a 360-degree camera and all of that, I had Kattar. I had Kattar with the jab, Kattar with the right hand, Kattar with the hurting him, even though he's moving backwards. What do you want the guy to do there? Stand there and get hit? Like, if he's moving backwards and not getting hit, then isn't that effective control?
Yeah, also like you said, like if the judge is watching something and his view is blocked by the back of a fighter, and let's say the guy swings and he kind of, like dips back, and you just sees the sweat pop off, and it almost looks like he hit him. You know what I mean? Even like sweat like flying off looks like a strike.
I've been there. I've been judging fights, and you're just like staring at the back of these two guys, and you're just like, I can't see, like I'm not getting like a good angle of the action. Like it's comes, yeah. So that's why they have three sitting all over the thing, right? Because this has been the way that it's been judged since before TV cameras and replays and this sort of stuff. Like this is how they sat down as like the most effective way to score a fight, is to put a judge at every side, so nothing was kind of missed.
Yeah. It was a great fight, man. It was a close fight, and both these guys, I think they deserve a shot at the title. So I guess it's up to the UFC to decide who is gonna fight after Volk and what you call it?
Yeah, like I feel like obviously it was a close fight. Obviously there was going to be arguments, like regardless. I think for me, like Emmett fighting for the bout next, like he's like, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I feel like he's like a little bit older, like he's a bit more like long in the tooth. And in terms of like his development, he's not made any like massive improvements or like big developments. And not like an insult, the guy's like one of the best in the world, but he's not like jumping, like developing like crazy over the last couple of fights. Like he's pretty consistent with the techniques that he throws and the style in which he fights. Like I feel like he's ready for a title shot. I feel like everything in the timing wise is like better suited for him as a title shot. And in the long run, I'm not sure that this is going to be a bad thing for Calvin Kattar. Like Kattar will know what he did, right? Like he didn't mix things up as well as he should have. You know what I mean? I feel like if he would have thrown the kicks in there a little bit more, he would have been able to stop, like throwing a few more knees and a few more kicks. He would have been able to skill the forward pressure of Emmett in that fight. And over the last few fights, Calvin Kattar's got so much better against like Giga. Since the Holloway fight, like he's just jumped leaps and bounds in his improvement in his game. He's gone leaps and bounds in the last couple of fights. So I don't feel like him fighting next for the title per se needs to happen. Like another 2 fights, and he gets to go back and keep working on his game and keep improving, and he makes like leaps and bounds improvements in the next 2 fights. Like in the long run, is all I'm saying, is that this might be the best thing for him in the long term.
Yeah, and there's so many other fights that he could take. You know what I mean? He's 1 fight away from a title shot. Like right now, this is his, I think this was his 4th main event in a row. He's one of the guys that like the UFC calls when they need someone to main event or fill in or something. You know what I mean? Like he's been that one of those guys for the featherweight division, and he takes risks. He takes risks with a lot of these fights. You know what I mean? A lot of the guys, you know how it was. A lot of the guys up at the top of the featherweight division for the last 2 years were just sitting there on their number, not even competing. Maybe if they got a certain matchup, they would fight. But other than that, they would just sit there. Calvin Kattar wasn't sitting there. He was just working, and working. And you got to put a lot of stock into that too. I respect that a lot. You know what I mean? The dude is not afraid to go out there and compete. I'm not saying other dudes are afraid, but he's not. You know what I mean? He wants to earn, and all that. Like I think it's all like what is it? Fight IQ. It's just building up for him. It's building up and building up and building up, and he'll fight for the title, and he'll probably hold it. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Like this was like a good experience. This is not a fight where Calvin Kattar like took a lot of damage, right? Like he I know his like nose was a bit red at the end of that, but you're hardly going to get through 25 minutes of fighting without your nose being a little red. But it's not like a fight where he was dropped. It's not a fight where he was hurt or injured or took any real big shots either. So there's nothing he can do but learn from it, get more experience, and develop from this fight. So yeah, it's nothing. No stock loss there for Calvin Kattar in retrospect. And I don't even feel like he needs to take a step backwards after this fight. Like I'd still, I think the UFC could still match him with a guy that's coming off a title fight. Like if Korean Zombie still wants to fight, or one of those top guys, he could definitely still get back out there.
Yeah. Perfect. You just made the perfect matchup right there, because the Korean Zombie, he was on the verge of retirement, and then he came out and said, like, I can't go out like that.
We all say it. I say it every 5 minutes. Don't take me seriously.
You're retired every 5 minutes.
I've retired 10 times.
Man, some of the stuff that I've heard like behind the scenes over the last couple of months about fighters and like how they handle losses. This is at the highest level too. And I'm like, I was shocked by some of the things that I heard, because I don't want to reveal too much, but like fighters will really be considering retirement. You know what I mean? Even though they're like 27 years old, you know what I mean? But they lost a couple fights in the UFC and they're really considering retirement. It's like, I was surprised by some, how often that I heard that got people think of that.
But like what it's being a good loser. I don't think that's like a necessary I don't feel like that's a necessary attribute to become a world champion or like the best. Like me, I'm not a good sore loser. Like that's what motivates you to come back or motivates you to not like sit things right. Obviously, there are some guys that are like fantastic winners. Fantastic losers. One of the best was watching the Kambosos fight here close to home in Australia, watching him over in Melbourne and lose the undisputed world championship, like his opportunity, and just the way that Kambosos took that. I took my hat to him, man, because he took that like an absolute champion. He took it on the chin. He rode with it. He faced everything. That's a good loser. You know what I mean? Like he was not taken aback by that thing at all, and it did nothing but motivate him. But it's not an attribute that I have, and it's not a skill that I have, and I don't even think it's a necessary skill. Is that you be a good loser? I don't. Ain't nothing wrong like with one of my guys loses, and he's up, like it genuinely upsets him, and he's genuinely sore about it, and he's salty about it. But they come back in the gym and they work even harder because, yeah, oh well. So like it's a high risk, high reward fight. You can't go into any fight expect to win if you're not absolutely all in. Like every fiber in your body believes that it's already done and believes that you've already got the win under control. Like there's no point in going out there competing if you're not confident that you're going out. Like everyone, I say that to all of my fighters when I'm having like a fight night at my gym. I'm just like, everyone here is expecting to win. Trust me. Everyone here, no one here is come to lose. No one's shown up today like, yeah, I'll just get out there and, see how things. Like everyone thinks that they're going to win. There's like 12 fights. There's 24 fighters. Every single one of them expects to win. But half of them are not going to. At least half of them are not going to. It's just a fact. And it's just part of the sport. But it's just such a necessary part of our environment is having a clear winner and having a clear loser. Because with the clear winning comes all of that accolade and comes all of that praise and all of that stuff. There can't be some kind of penalty for not succeeding. And the penalty is you have to eat humble pie and you have to listen to everyone talk shit to you. And you have to like that. That's just part of it. That's just part of getting your nuts, picking them up, putting them on the table, and rolling the dice, because that's what you have to do. You can't be so scared to lose that you don't even compete.
Yeah, that's definitely true, man. Like everybody has a different process. I've asked many fighters about like their process of handling losses. And you know who was one of the most like unique answers? And like you just mentioned, Tim Elliott said like, I got used to losing. Like I'm good at losing. Like back in wrestling, when I used to wrestle, I used to lose all the time. So I asked him like, how do you handle it? He's like, it's nothing to me. You know what I mean? Because it's competition. Like I'll lose, get back in the gym, learn, go back out there and do it again. And some guys, they're just like devastated by losses, and they just shut out the world for a month, and then they come back to the gym slowly. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different process, so
Yeah,
it's great to hear the different processes every fighter takes, because there's no like one formula. There's no like one way of doing anything. Everybody has their own formula, and it works for them if they can find it. So I don't know, man.
100%.
When I fight and if I lose, I don't know if I'm gonna fight again. So it's like I don't know if like that will like I'm retiring. Of course, like I'm not gonna fight again. So it's like
you gotta do that. You gotta do the full. You gotta do the full song and dance. You gotta take off your gloves and you gotta leave them in the ring.
yeah, I might have to do that. Yeah, I might have to do that. Just like one fight, retire.
One and done, baby. One and done.
Praise, like give all glory to God. Do all the things that people usually do. Speaking of retirement, man, it was I was in Singapore, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she retired inside the cage after she got knocked out and lost. Man, she's a legend. Like whenever you see like people retire, like what are the feelings you get like when you see a fighter like that retire, someone that was a former champ that kind of trailblazed for the division?
Yeah, but her one's kind of different. Like it's different for women. It's not the same. It's not the same as for men, because obviously, like with a woman, if they got a long-term partner or they got their partner and they're trying to have a baby and stuff like that, they're like, because I have girls at my gym, right? Like there's girls that I train, like they're putting all of that off. They have to like seriously. They have to make some serious decisions, and there's just bigger decisions than like men getting out there and fighting, because we can just fight. You know what I mean? Like we fight, we support our family. Like the longer we keep fighting, the more we can support our family. There's a lot more motivation to stay in it. Like with women, it's like a huge question up in the air, because she said she wants to have a family, wants to have a baby, and wants to do like that, and she's putting all of that off to get out there and put on these shows and perform in the octagon. So I would just say it's just different for female fighters. There's just more at stake for them than there is the men getting out there.
Yeah, I agree with you. They do have to put, if they want those types of things in their life, they do have to put that all on hold, and you have to
There's
dedicate
more pressure. Like we got like enough pressure when something like that happens, right? Like there's enough weight on our shoulders, but then like having something massive like that, like wanting to have a family, and then something happens to you like that is just, I don't know, that's just like an extra weight that I don't have to carry with me for a loss. Like I feel like it would be a completely different situation. I feel like I retired 15 years ago.
Yeah, somebody that I knew, like there was a bunch of people cage side, at the fights, and they told me like when she got hit by the spinning back fist and she kind of like fell forward, she got up for a second and she just went back down. Like someone told me, like they said they saw her face and she just kind of gave that face of like, and she just, I don't want to say she gave up, but they said that she just went back down to the floor and just kind of like stayed there. That's what they said to me. I was like,
yeah, I know.
I don't think Joanna has that in there.
Nah, but there like comes, there's like a level of there's a level of experience as well. Like when it's done anyway, right? Like there's no, like when you've been there before, you're not like a kid. Like when I was like a kid, like early 20s and stuff like that. Like you just. That's like the funny thing about like being older as a fighter is you have like so much more experience, like for the better, like so much more skill, such a better fighter, but you also have like a bunch of bad shit that's happened like in the cage as well. So there's like a constant a constant balance of the two. Like that's why like a young undefeated fighter is like so full of piss and vinegar because they've never had that taste, right? Like they've never had that taste. They've never been tapped out. They've never been knocked out under the bright lights or anything like that. So it's like a balance of like that youthfulness and just being dumb. You know what I mean? Like being completely ignorant, of that stuff, of being hurt and being injured and anything bad happening to you. It's such a useful tool. So you have to balance that out with also being older and obviously having a lot more experience, like going through all of that and experiencing all of that. So it's just a weird mix of the two. But to say like Joanna like looked up for a second and was like, I don't think so. Like I'm sure if she could have got up, she would have got up. Like that's that landed clean. You know what I mean? And especially like where it like landed is like where your equilibrium is. So you could have like gone to get up and the room just does like a 360 degree spin and it's like, I'm smart enough to know this is not a good time to try and stand up. Like you can turn into a meme in this sport like very quickly. It's like, do you want to go face down or do you want to get up and do this one?
Yeah. Like do the Kevin Lee.
Yeah, do the big flop around and then fall back on your head, you know?
Yeah,
things can always, one of my best sayings is things, no matter how bad things are, they can always get worse.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think of that. Like she did get hit like behind like the ear, across the ear, back of the head kind of thing.
You're like like when your equilibrium gets knocked, you're like completely conscious. Like you're completely conscious, but because your equilibrium's been hurt, like you can't tell your body like which way is up and like which way is down. So you would have like go to get up and it's like saying like this is up, that's up, that's up, that's up. Like you're just your body is in complete and utter confusion about what's going on with the world.
That's a scary position to be in inside that cage when someone's trying to fucking rip your head off. You know, it's pretty crazy. Going back to you were talking about age, you know what I mean? Like Josh Emmett, I was looking at his age, he's 37. Why don't we, like in like higher weight classes, like heavyweight, light heavyweight, middleweight, you'll see like champions that are in their late 30s. In the lower weight divisions, we rarely ever see that, right? Like we don't see guys like 35 plus as champions. Like I don't think we've had that for a while. Why do you think that is?
Just with the way that the game goes up at that weight, like guys, because they hit so much. It's just the way that the human body works, right? It's physics. Like you're transferring more weight. Obviously, knockouts are a lot more frequent up at those weights. Like, man, at heavyweight, anyone can be the champion of the world at heavyweight. It kind of comes down to first one that lands a clean shot up at that. It's like no one can hold the damn belt for more than 2 fights. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, up at those heavier weight classes, you can obviously be a lot older because just that youthful aggression where you push forward and you're fearless just doesn't mean as much at those higher weights. When a guy's like more experienced, takes his time and can just plant one on your chin. I would just say because they can knock each other out so much easier is why that like you can be a bit more long in the tooth, because that youthful aggression and that undefeated mentality and that freshness of youth just means a lot less when it's so much easier to get knocked out.
Do you think it's also because guys at the lower weights, they train more frequently and they train, I don't want to say they train harder. Maybe I want to say they train harder. The guys in the lower weights.
Oh, yeah, but I feel like it's the same. Like they can train harder. I feel like they can have a lot higher of a workload. Like just to hit, just again, it comes down to how the human body operates and physics, right? Like if you get a heavyweight out there going for runs and then doing 3 a days, like they just fall apart. Like their bodies can't repair the kind of damage that they're putting on, or they can't meet the workload. It just can't be done up at the heavyweight, up at those heavier weight classes. Like the guys don't recover as quickly because there's so much more mass to recover. It's the lighter weight class guys do train more frequently, and I would say do train a lot more and a lot harder than the heavier weight classes for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I was just watching some heavyweights train. You think like, damn, are they even like a long time ago? I think I saw like Mighty Mo train one time, and he did like
Brother,
mitts, like 3 sessions.
It'd be
like
he's swimming in a pool, like the speed that some of these heavyweights train at. You'd think he was underwater. He's going that slow.
Yeah, well, all I saw was like usually when you see guys train, they're doing their little routine, but then when I saw him train, he was just like he did shadow boxing for like 1 round, and then he did mitts, and then it was over. And I was like, damn. Maybe I should be heavyweight. You know what I mean?
I wish I was, bro. I always look across, and there's times, right? There's times where I'm like, man, I wish I was. But then there's also times when you see them get knocked out with very silly punches and stupid shots that they shouldn't be getting knocked out with, and you're just like, yeah, glad I'm not a heavyweight. That's
Yeah. So the last bit on Josh Emmett and Calvin Kattar. Like Calvin Kattar, he's 34. So I feel like Calvin Kattar will probably end up being in Josh Emmett's position in the next couple of years, where he's like right there. He's gonna fight for the title. So it's all good, man. Both those guys, they're great guys. Interview both of them plenty of times, and always good chat. Kevin Holland, the co-main event, he goes in there. Tim Means been around forever. He's like one of the OGs of just fighting. And he's fighting the young bucks, Kevin Holland. But Kevin Holland, man, what do you think of Kevin Holland? He can scrap.
Oh yeah. He's good. And Tim Means is the guy that I rate very highly. Tim Means is the guy that he's one of my favorite guys to watch. He's one of my favorite guys to sit back and appreciate his style. And it's just was a difficult fight, like him not having the reach advantage, him not having usually uses his length from the outside and picks guys off from range. But yeah, just wasn't able to establish his reach. Every time he kind of tried to pressure in and get anything going, he was just stopped by the length. And then obviously hurt, shot for the takedown and ran straight into the last choke. So very impressive display from Kevin Holland, and he's just been very impressive down at welterweight. And then to go out there and call out one of the guys that everyone's been ducking and call out arguably one of the tougher matchups on offer at welterweight is also, that's a big statement. I feel like that call out was.
Yeah, well, Kevin Holland, they need to utilize him somehow. You know what I mean? Like he draws attention. Like, didn't he save like a bunch of people? Wasn't there like a gun? Was there like an armed robbery?
I'm starting to get suspicious of this sort of activity. You know what I mean? Like once, incredible. Twice, I'm like, oh yeah, that's odd. Was it the third or fourth time he's?
Yeah, this is like the fifth time. This is like the fifth time where he was at the right location.
Because John Jones done it once, and then maybe that's where he got the playbook from, and he just keeps. It's starting to get unbelievable now, my friend.
Yeah, next week he's gonna be at like some like fucking car show or something, and then dude pulls out a bow and arrow, and he pulls out his bow and arrow and fucking.
Where do we draw the line?
I don't know.
Where are we gonna draw the line with this lad?
Well, nowadays everybody's trying to figure out a way to be in the news all the time, right? It's either you're good or you're in the news all the time. So we'll see what happens with him. Joaquin Buckley, he goes in there. There was actually a lot of finishes on this card, right? There was like 9 finishes.
There was an incredible amount of finishes. It was
9 finishes.
Yeah, the Buckley, I would say that was probably like my performance of the night, especially like I saw some of the stuff going backwards and forwards, and I've seen that the Russian cat in Vegas as well. Like, so they were both training in Vegas. Obviously, he was coming out and saying Buckley was going to be an easy fight for him. He's saying he beats him up in the gym. He's going to be able to beat him up in the cage. But like I always say, training is training. Training needs to be taken with a pinch of salt, especially for a guy like that, especially for a guy like Buckley, who is like super explosive. The fight is 15 minutes. Like, he can be super explosive and move and use, like, his energy system is built for fighting, right? But then in training, when you're on your 15th session of the week and you're tired, and then you're like an hour and a half into training that day, and then you're sparring, and then so it's like an accumulation of all of that stuff. Like, a explosive guy like Buckley is going to be at a disadvantage in training. Like, his energy system's built for like short explosive bursts, which is a fight. So obviously his opponent like just took it for granted, and that was his mistake in that fight. Because like, at the end of the day, it's not to be the world champion of the gym or be the world champion in training. The objective is to be the world champion when it matters, when everyone's watching and when all the lights on. And he did that. That was an incredibly impressive performance.
Yeah, it's Buckley, man, he's been trying to get better matchups. But I think if you can't get better matchups, just perform like you did today. Every time. Just fight whoever they're gonna give you and just keep winning, because Darren Till don't know who you are. Did you see that video where he went up to Darren Till and he was just like, "We need to fight. Come on, let's go UFC London." And then Buckley walks away, and then Chimaev's like, "Who is that?" And he's like, "I don't know." Like, they just completely dismissed him. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't know who he was.
That's not a good start. That's not a good start.
No, but if you keep winning and smashing people, yeah, they're gonna start
know
noticing.
Who you are. Like, you keep doing impressive performances like that, like, people get to know your name. Like, it's not just, there's no two ways about it, right? Like, you accumulate wins, people start talking about you.
Yeah. Next was Damir Ismagulov, right? Lightweight. I think he's undefeated in the UFC right now. He's trained a lot of Tiger. Have you ever ran into Damir at Tiger?
Nah. We're supposed to fight on the same card, but I think that's the one where he missed by 20 pounds or something ridiculous. Like, he
had some issues.
He wasn't even close. Like, I don't even know. I don't know how you missed by that much. Like, that's
he had some major issues. Right?
What are some issues? Like, how do you miss? Like, I don't even come into fight week that heavy, let alone miss weight by that heavy. Like, I think that's why he hasn't been like pushed, right? Like, that's why the UFC doesn't push him that hard, and that's why like, no one really knows who he is. Like, I would be hesitant. Like, you would be hesitant about taking a fight against a guy who misses weight by that much. You know what I mean? Like, imagine doing a 12-week training camp, like, flying all your coaches out, doing all this jazz. You get to fight week, you cut the weight, you weigh in, and your opponent misses by 10 pounds. Like, your opponent misses by like more than the state will license him to fight. Like, that is a kick in the nuts. I don't care if you miss by a couple of pounds. I don't care if you miss by 5 pounds, 6 pounds, 7. I don't care about like a 5 pound miss, because you're going to give me a bunch of money and we're still going to go out there and fight anyway. Like, that I can live with. But you miss by whatever he missed by, like 7, 8 pounds or something like that. Like, to the point where the state's not even going to let him compete. Like, that's a massive kick in the nuts.
Yeah. Also, he's a unique situation, man, because he's only lost once in his career. He hasn't, and that was in 2015. He's undefeated in the UFC, but he always wins by decision. And like you said, he's missed weight like by a large amount.
UFC hate no decision, brother. They hate it. They hate it.
And he's beaten some decent guys, right? Joel Alvarez,
they'd rather you get knocked out than go there and cuddle someone for 15 minutes, brother. Trust me.
Dad revealing trade secrets. They want.
They don't need care about that, brother. I got there and got I go out there and get in a fist fight. I go out there and give the people what they pay their hard-earned money for. That's the guy out there and see two guys go out there and actually fight.
Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do with him because he won by split decision, and it's just he needs to. I don't know. He needs to figure out something, man, because he's good. It's just that he's not like it's not eye popping. You know what I mean? Like whenever he fights, it's not like everybody's like, oh shit, Demir's fighting. It's not like that. If he I guess he needs to make some changes.
I can't say. I seen him once at the weigh-in, killed on the table like this. I never seen the guy fight before. Like, so I can't. I know about him, but I don't know about his performances or anything like that. After he missed weight by that much, like I stopped having a look at the guy. You know what I mean? Like that just instantly just loses my interest.
All right, let's go to something that has your interest. Is this is what is it? Gregory Rodriguez versus Julian Marquez. I feel like both those guys are just like wrecking balls, and they were just gonna. This was just match.
You're gonna have to tell me about it. I missed this because I went to Spider. It was it was Israel's last fighter. It was definitely Carlos' last fighter.
Yeah.
Bloods was doing it. Brad. Volk was here yesterday. Volk left to go back to Australia yesterday afternoon, and Kai Spider as well. So I was out there. Helping out the team any way that I can.
You love it. You love it.
Put my body up. Bro, Spiders, you just come in there on your weekend, fully rested, and just get to just beat people up. Like it's, hey, I don't bring any cameras. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not me with the cameras at Spider. I bring the exact same attitude when there's no cameras around. This is not. I'm against cameras at Spider. I don't believe there should be any cameras at Spider. They should be banned from Spider. No one needs to witness what goes on in that room. But hey, you boys want to bring cameras, bring cameras.
That Spider, or things that are equivalent to the Spider, like a lot of gyms do. When you watch a fighter go through that, and man, they go to the lowest point of vulnerability, and everybody's just screaming at them, just like, get the fuck up.
You're an embarrassment. No one likes you. I love it.
You want to lose? Get the fuck up.
You're a loser.
And he gets the fuck up and then just gets slammed down again. Just get up. Slam down again.
It's the best.
Yeah, some people, they love that. And I was talking to this one fighter, and she was telling me she fucking breaks down before Saturday, like Shark Tanks or whatever you want to call it. Like she breaks down, and then she goes into there in a better mental state. It seems like after she breaks down and smashes the workout, and then comes out the other end like, oh shit, I shouldn't.
A few girls that's and tears. Like I've wrestled, like had female training partners for years, right? And there's some of them who week out for a fight, you're like sparring them or wrestling them, and they just like burst into tears mid-round, and you're just like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna stop hitting you. The round hasn't ended.
We gotta prepare you for war.
Yeah, like it is what it is. I guess it is. I don't know. I'm sure guys would do it if there was like less pressure on them. Like if a girl does it, there's obviously like a lot less pressure on them for like bursting into tears mid-round. Like if one of the boys did it, I would be quite taken aback. Let's just say that. I definitely wouldn't stop punching her. It's definitely not gonna get you out of it.
Yeah, that's funny. I think one of the best performances, when I look at the fights, and the prelims had some good performances, but two fighters that I look at I think that they're gonna be some serious problems. Is Adrian Yanez. Did you see that fight? Adrian Yanez? No, he's got some
street fight. What's the ref doing? As soon as you touch the guy, it's over. Like, he was like patting him on the back, right? Like, he was just like coming up behind him, like, I saw he touched him like 5 times. I was like, bro, as soon as you touch me, like, yeah, I'm not gonna stop. But you gotta like, you gotta be a bit more clear about your decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's because technically, as soon as he lays a finger on a fighter, like that's the fight.
Yo, it was a street fight because like when he knocked him
That
down,
was a street fight.
when he knocked him down,
Mm.
like he was rocked, and when he got back up, Adrian wasn't there. He was behind him. You know, like in a street fight, Adrian just came through from the behind. He didn't even see that
Boom.
shit. Just boom, and man, he fucked his ass up. Like that was bad. And that, man, lately a lot of fighters have been saying the wrong things. You know, either in the corner or in the post fight, and it like turns into this like massive wave of hate online. You know, like even like Cody Durden, he was saying like go back to China to his opponent after he won, and people took that. And in his next fight when he fought Muhammad Marquez, everybody hated Cody Durden, and they wanted Muhammad to knock him out, and that's what Muhammad did. He went in there flying, he knocked him out. This fight as well, Tony Kelley said something about his girlfriend fights in the UFC. Andrea Lee. She's a flyweight, right? And when he was in the corner, she said that she got like thumbed in the eye or something, and he said something about like dirty Brazilians or something, right? And he came out and said, you know, that's Tony Kelley. That's the guy.
Yeah. He was upset about that.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of Brazilians were taking offense, and a lot of just people in general were taking offense, so they just dumped on Tony Kelley.
I feel like the Brazilians are like a very easy bunch to wind up. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to set them going. Like they're very, very emotional people.
Yeah, man, Colby Covington has got like space in a lot of Brazilians' heads, right? A lot of Brazilians probably want to kill him when they see him. They're like, "We'll kill that motherfucker." But yeah, there was so much hate against Tony Kelley, and he was taking the hate. He was just like double bird. He was like double bird to everybody, like fuck everybody. I was like, damn. I hope he better go in there and, you know, mollywop this dude. But then he ran into just a young animal. Like Adrian Yanez, he's so, like his hands are so fast, right? Like he's like Michael Johnson-esque in some ways of like his hand speed. Like what do you see in him, man? Like when you watch him fight, like he's impressive, right?
Yeah, and the money, man, like just the hand speed is impressive. Like it doesn't take like a keen eye to tell that, right? Like anyone, like the speed is just different. You know what I mean? Like exactly like you said, like Michael Johnson, you see him fight like and throw a 4 or 5 punch combination in the blink of an eye, and you're just like, whoa, that guy's different to a lot of other guys. And that's what you see in games, like just the speed, the hand speed. Just a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, and he's like part of that next wave of bantamweights coming up, you know, like kind of mashed in with like Sean O'Malley and some of the other ones that are real good. What do you think of him? Like, what do you see like Yanez and like O'Malley, right? They're striking. Like O'Malley, of course, incorporates much more kicks. But what do you think one is more effective than the other? Like when they go up higher in competition, like, you know, the level of competition when you hit the Peter Yans and Sterlings and all that.
It's just like every style is like can be kryptonite for another style, but then you fight someone that's like your kryptonite. Like styles matter. Like it's like the same amount of hours in the day for all of us, right? Like there's only a certain amount of time that you can invest into one skill. You know what I mean? And if you go back, some guys invested in the grappling, invested in the wrestling. It's the same when you take a closer look at the striking. Like a guy comes from a wrestling background, then the stance is incredibly similar to boxing. So like that's why wrestlers pick up boxing so much easier than like a lot of martial arts. Like you hardly see like a college wrestler like come through and then he just starts fighting like a taekwondo fighter, like super in and out, like throwing kicks, like just because the stances are completely different from each other. Or like even a wrestler, there's not many good examples of like a lifetime wrestler transitioning to martial arts and then just being an incredible kicker. Like it's very rare, obviously outliers like John Jones and stuff like that. But I'm saying consistently or a majority. You know what I mean? So it just comes down to styles. Like saying how they match up, like there's only one way to find out, and that's when they get out there and they actually compete against these guys, and we get to see who's more effective at that level, because knocking guys out and taking guys' heads off and kneeing them out and putting them out like that is very impressive. At the level both of those two are at now, but it's far more impressive when you're under the lights of a main event or fighting for a title or fighting a guy in the top 5. Like then it just becomes infinitely harder to put on such impressive performances like that, because the skill set of your opponent is so much more well matched.
What the fuck? Dana gave fucking promoter's bonus to everybody that got a finish.
Nice.
What's going on with the UFC? Why are they being so nice?
Nice, because they can afford to do that every week. That's
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, why are they doing nice to Austin? Why aren't they being nice to Vegas?
They can afford to triple and do it every week, and still be fine.
But Yanez 5-0 in the UFC, 5 performance bonuses. That's pretty fucking impressive to me.
Incredibly. That kid can get whatever he wants next with a record like that.
Yeah, man, he's got a little following. You know, he's doing his little thing with Dr. Pepper. He's trying to get that Dr. Pepper sponsorship. You know, everybody has their sponsorships they want. You know what I mean? I remember.
Man, don't chase down these big brands, brother. Like they're family brands. They ain't gonna touch you.
You gotta be like the boy next door type fighter. You know, like you fight, but
it's just our sport alone rules out a lot of sponsorship. A lot of guys, like even energy drinks, like Red Bull doesn't touch combat sport athletes. Like that's one that you'd think you would. Like you see guys backflip out of planes and do triple flying somersaults on a motorcycle. That's cool. People die doing that, but that's cool. They'll give you money to hold the can up for that. You know what I mean? By getting in a cage and fighting someone else, too rough for them. Red Bull don't want to buy of it. There's so many brands out there, and I understand it. I definitely not like salty about it. I definitely understand. It's funny how I go for like a decade trying to convince everyone that this is like a mainstream sport, and then it like almost gets there, and you're like, nah, this is not a mainstream sport. I was kind of lying that whole time.
Yeah, in that way, if you look at it that way, it's true. It's like, will it ever become a mainstream sport because it's so volatile? Like, there's people's legs being broken.
Nah,
you know what I mean? On national television, like it can't. It's hard to get to that level, right?
I don't feel like it can. I feel like there's still like a majority of people out there. Like I still meet them to this day that they find out what you do and they're just like jump back a little bit. They're just like, man, like you really do that? Like they think, where are your tattoos and how many times have you been to prison? You're like, yeah, it's not quite like that.
That's the prerequisite.
Yeah,
being in prison and going to get tattoos. Once you have those things, that's the checklist right there. That's 2 out of 3. Now you just got to go train and fight.
That's the main part. That's the main part.
Yeah, Yanez, man. I'm big on Yanez. Like, I remember meeting Yanez like before he got signed to the UFC, and he was like one of the main prospects coming out of Texas. It's weird, man. Like, I kind of look at MMA like how other sports are being looked at, because I'll look at like prospects coming out of like the States or New Zealand or Australia, and I'll like reach out to them and like talk to them and interview them and, you know, get to know them. And yeah, it's kind of like, I look at it kind of like as another sport, you know, like baseball would do that. Baseball would go to like certain regions.
Yeah, but we're like in it, right? Like it's a lot. We're like in it, and we actually understand the sport. And it's like people say, like, man, how do you go out there and fight? And I'm just like, well, you do it so much that it's just like a game of it's a game of football, you know. Like it's just like a game of rugby to me. Like I don't view it as going out there and just like as having a bar fight or a street fight. Like it's not, to me. It's a sport. You're in it. You're in it. So you don't like see that. You don't see that or experience that. But there is like like an aspect of the sport which is just incredibly violent and incredibly volatile, and you see it every now and then. You know what I mean? The Yanez fight was a good example of that, where you see it every now and then when you're just like, you see that finish like that, and you go, "This ain't a sport."
Yeah, that was a world star moment.
Yeah,
world star. That was
yeah.
like on in the octagon.
That was on World Star. The guy would be going to jail for a couple of years.
The referee would be going to jail for a couple of years for not stopping that shit. But
it's like giving him a pat on the back, like mid combo. Like, nice one.
Yeah, it's like I want you to win. I want you to win. I don't know where Tony Kelley goes after this. I think Tony Kelley will fight again. I don't think the UFC is gonna do anything about that shit. They never do. So Cody Durden's got another fight, so it's not like they're gonna cut him. Jeremiah Wells, man, I think we talked about him like a few weeks back. He fought somebody. Oh yeah, when he fought Blood Diamond, right? Jeremiah Wells made his debut against him, and man, like when they matched him up, that was a tough debut, man, for somebody that's coming to the UFC.
Crazy, like that guy's crazy good, man. To take a guy out like Court McGee, like that,
Yeah.
stepping through with the left hook, and man, that was a hard knockout to watch. Like he fell back like Jesus. Like he just went. That was bad, right? Like he went like, oh, that Wells has got some power, man, and especially after like fighting Bloods, who's had 80 professional kickboxing fights, and then to handle him the way he did handle him on the ground, and then to go out there and do the complete opposite to like an incredible grappler in Court McGee, and to take him out of the hands, and he hasn't been stopped since something ridiculous like 2016 or something. So incredibly impressive from Jeremiah.
Court McGee, man, like he talk about a guy that's been around forever and just goes to the decision with everybody because nobody could take him out, and Jeremiah Wells goes in there round one and just fucking flatlines him. It shows you how good Jeremiah Wells is. And also, like, when he went in and fought Blood, he went in there to grapple with Blood. Like, he didn't want to sit there and strike with Blood right away. You know what I mean? He ran across and fucking took him down. Like, it shows that other guys would have said, fuck it, I'm going to stand with Blood and see what I can do against him. But Jeremiah Wells was like, nah, man, I'm trying to win this fight as fast as I can. And that's what I've noticed from all of his performances. Like, he changes it up to find the best paths to getting a finish. And yeah, the dude is a specimen as well. Smart. You know what I mean? Super, super strong, super smart, and super well-rounded. And he's another guy that when the pandemic was happening, he had nothing, man. He was like lost basically. Like there was no promotions having shows, and then he gets signed on short notice. Now I think he's like 3-0, with just incredible performances. So it's this sport, man. You could be on the regional scene, and 3 fights later, you're gonna be making fucking 30-30, fighting some monster that has like 30 fights in the UFC. That's how the sport it is mad, man. The sport is fucking crazy. Phil Hawes, right? Phil Hawes, he goes in there, he fights Daniel Cormier's protege or teammate or whatever you want to call it, Deron Wynn, KOs him in the second round. Did you see this? And he goes in and he's yelling at DC.
I saw the fight. Like the fight was impressive. Like the way that he was mixing up the kicks and the hands and glancing them with the elbows, like that was impressive. And then to just completely undo it. I don't know. Like I feel like that for that fight, the story should be about how impressive his performance was. and how skillful he was and how great everything was. Like, but now it's turned into the only highlights you see of that fight is him arguing with DC. Like he really like just shot himself in the foot on that one, right? And then like just derailed the hype that he was going to get from that fight. He should have known. Like DC is such a consummate professional, and he still handled that incredibly well with the post-fight interview and stuff like that. But yeah, like DC is going to be professional about it, even though they're close friends like that. He was gonna be as he was gonna be as impartial as he possibly could, and he was. Like DC did nothing wrong.
DC is one of the guys that is almost universally liked. You know what I mean, by most people that meet him and been around him, and you know, and he's one of those guys that he's more about the action. You know what I mean? Like he does what he says. By attacking somebody that's liked by most people, you usually will come out of that on the wrong end, right? And also, like, who is he gonna pick? Is he gonna pick you, or he's gonna pick his teammate? You know what I mean? Like, I've interviewed DC. He will tell me like straight up, like, "Hey, I'm a homer. Like, I'm gonna pick my guy." Like we were talking about like lightweight division, and he's like, "I'm like, who's the next champ, DC? Oh, I'm a homer. I'm gonna pick my guy, Islam. That's my guy." Like,
yeah, you don't even blame him for that. Like,
exactly,
it was the same in when because he commentated our fight like with Islam, and we went in there for you have like a broadcast meeting where you sit down like. The day before weigh-ins, it's like one of the last interviews you do. You sit down with like the broadcast team, and they get to ask you questions. DC said, "I'm gonna sit out just so you don't feel like weird, and they're not going to tell me anything you say because they get to delve into questions that they actually want to ask you, like the commentators. It'll come down to something, and they'll be like, "Oh, how do you think this is going to play out? How are you going to stop it winning?" You know, like they actually, so that they have like a better insight into commentating a fight, they might ask you questions about your psyche or questions about your actual intentions in the fight. Like DC just put his hand up and said like all the best, Dan. I'm going to remove myself from this meeting. I said you could stay. I was like, you can stay, bro. Like, I think it's pretty obvious like what everyone's going to try and do in this fight. You know, I don't think you're going to go tell him anything he doesn't know, you know. But yeah, he just removed himself from the situation. Like the guy is a consummate professional, and he can handle having his horse, but then he can also stay professional when it doesn't turn out the way he wants it to turn out.
Yeah, I respect the honesty and him being open and saying like directly, you know what I mean, instead of just like dancing around and saying like, "Oh no, you know, I'm gonna stay neutral" and all that. Of course he's gonna stay neutral in the commentary, but everybody's gonna pick and choose like what they want to hear from people. But Phil Hawes, he had a great performance, and I think he's extremely talented, but that was not a way to like make headlines at all, to be honest with you. And you know, like attacking somebody for picking against you. You know, I don't see why.
It
like,
it doesn't really like make much sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's like
that was it didn't make much. Yeah, like his real error was his argument didn't make that much sense to most people. Which is like anytime you have an argument, like it's got to make sense to most people, or you're probably gonna lose.
you're probably gonna lose, man. It's every week, man. Every week we'll have something, right? Like somebody attacking somebody, or I don't know, some wild shit. Let's see what's next week. We'll see. Let's go down here next week.
A big. That's
a big, yeah. It's a big
just
lightweight fight.
A big fat.
What are your thoughts on Gamrot? Like, were you ever lined up to fight Gamrot?
I've never seen him fight. I never seen
really?
the guy fight before. I've seen him. Okay. I've seen him Kimura Jeremy Stevens. I've seen him match with Brad a bunch of times, and then I've seen him not take the fight with Brad. So it's like I don't know him. Like I can't name Besides Jeremy Stevens, I can't name anyone either of those two guys has beaten.
Well, he has a lot of hype around him, man. Not a lot of hype as in like general hype. I'm saying like a lot of hype from like the hardcores.
Gamma,
like
Gamma, I got no beef. I got no beef with Gamma. Besides him turning the fight with Brad down, I got no qualms. I got no qualm with that man.
What about the other man?
I don't care for him. I would smoke him. I would feel like smoke him.
That's gonna be something that's gonna happen.
Ruby
down
scum.
The line.
He's Ruby scum. Uncreative.
Shout out to Danny and Syed. But yeah,
Syed's all good. I got no problem with Syed.
Yeah, Syed's
leave Syed out of this, mate.
No, I love Syed. Syed's phenomenal, man. He's a great guy. Great guy. Let's see some other fights on here then. There, Neil Magny's fighting Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Neil was the one that hunted that fight. Neil wanted that fight. Like, this is a guy that no one. This is the other Hamza, right? Like, this is the next big thing in the welterweight division. This is a guy. It's on an absolute tear. People are saying that his record and his performances are actually more impressive than Hamza's performances. And Neil Magny, being the complete OG that he is, chased this kid out. He called him out. He wanted this fight. He fronted up to the table. It got put in a great slot as a co-main event where it should be. And I'm back on my boy Neil Magny. That's you already know that.
Yeah, Neil Magny.
That's my guy. That's my guy.
Yeah, he's one of the OGs, man. Like you said, he will fight anybody. Like, he don't give a fuck. Like, and the thing is, like, sometimes the UFC doesn't want to match him against certain guys, even though Neil.
He was one of the guys. This is like before Hamzat's like last fight or last two fights. Like, he's been calling. Like, Dana will come out and say, "Oh no, look, I can't get a ranked guy to take a fight with him." And Neil Magny's putting his hand up every single time that came out of Dana White's mouth. He was going, "I'll fight him. I'll fight him. I'll fight him. I'll fight him." Against Hamzat, just getting absolutely no acknowledgement for it. Dana coming out saying it again, being like, "Oh man, I can't imagine. Ranked guys don't want to." There's a ranked guy sitting there calling him out, and they don't want to take the fight with him.
Yeah, it's funny how it works sometimes behind the scenes, like why these matchups are not being put together. But Neil got his matchup that he wanted against Shavkat. Now Shavkat, I think he's like 18-0 with all finishes. So it's a big test for him. Yeah, crazy
Mad record. Man,
Neil has that record. Like, he fought everybody. You know what I mean? Like, he fought the best, and now he's fighting the next generation of killers. So we'll see what happens with him. Anything else on here?
Carlos Olberg's on there.
Carlos, he's fighting next week? No, the week after, right?
I saw it.
Yeah,
I saw it on that one. He's on the prelims.
Oh, he's fighting Tafon Chukwi. That's a good fight. That's a good stand-up fight right there. I love that matchup.
Stand-up fight.
How's Carlos looking?
He's looking good. He's looking good. That was his last fight of today. I think he fights out today or tomorrow morning. Heading off, and he's looking good, man. He's looking good. He's looking ready. Stepped his game up. He's coming off a win. Yeah, he's ready to perform. You put him in there with a striker, and that is very dangerous for the that guy's gonna want to take him down like that. Carlos is a big, beautiful man that is hits incredibly hard. He hits incredibly hard. I'm sick of getting hit by him. I'm ready for him to hit someone else.
That's a description right there. He's a big, beautiful man that hits extremely hard. That's
a 205 pounds, a beautiful man. Just had I probably shouldn't have a. I don't know if it's public. I think he's just had a baby.
Okay, I don't know
So
if that's
there's
public either. But
added motivation there. Edit that out. It's not.
yeah, added motivation. Yeah, definitely added motivation. You know, I mean, another mouth to feed. Yes, with Carlos coming next week, and then the week after that, you got Izzy and Volk, and then after that, who's
Yeah.
next? Is it
And
Kai?
So Izzy and Volk,
Brad.
and Brad, the following week. So that is they're all looking incredible, man. Like they're all looking absolutely nothing, right? Like none of them have got any injuries whatsoever. Volk's been here. Volk's made 2 trips over during this camp. The city obviously trains out at like freestyle with his coach Joe Lopez out there in Windang. But yeah, he's made two trips over to city kickboxing for this camp and just looked phenomenal. I've been able to spar them the last 2 times he's come over. So and he's looking sharp. He's looking fit. Like he's looking as good as ever. Israel as well. Just a lot of them that are really coming on. Like it really helps when they're all together, right? Like that's Carlos, Israel, Bloods are still in training. I think his fight just got rescheduled. Brad, Kai, Alex, like having like 6 guys all in the same spot, like all fighting roughly around the same time and just feeding off each other's energy, just really brings like a new level to their game and a new level to their motivation. So it's just been a pleasure to watch, and it's very you just catch the bug, right? Like it just motivates you as well. Like you catch that energy and you're just like, let me fight someone.
You're like, I'm next, mother. You're like, all right. But then, you know, you got your new management. You know, it's official. So, you know, you got a team to I guess.
Yeah, it's like a yeah. Like I have and that's like it's not like someone foreign or someone I don't know. That's pretty much like Ash and Eugene. Like Eugene's the one that is the decision maker for my fights now. Like that's as easy as it is, and it is like to be honest, like it is a different way of looking at it. Like it is like a huge weight off your shoulders because it's just like you feel just like a loaded gun now. You just you're just sitting here, just waiting for someone to point and shoot. Like I'll fight anyone. Like I'm ready to fight. You know what I mean? But it just comes down to him when he points and pulls the trigger. Like I'm gonna get after whoever he points me at. Like that's as simple as the equation has become, and it's just very, very freeing. A lot of weight off the shoulders, and I just get to go in the gym and just focus on myself, which is what I should have been doing. Like there's pros and cons for everything. There's pros and cons for like directing your own career is just everything's on you, and you get to move very quickly. You know, like when you're by yourself, you get to move very fast. If you want to do this fight, turn around, here, jump, move. Like I was able to move like very fast, very quickly throughout my career because the decisions were all on me. Like, oh man, I'm gonna go train in Vietnam now. I'm gonna go train in Thailand. I'm gonna go train in like I was able to jump around quite a lot, but just the position I'm at now, like it's time to just get a bit more focused and a bit more time to just focus on myself. And that's kind of the position I'm in now where they can take care of all of that business. Now it's time to start moving. I was moving quickly. Now it's just time to start moving correctly.
Yeah, for sure. And watching your teammates, like you got 3 world title fights coming up with your team. Ain't that just fucking insane?
Mad.
Fucking insane, man. Like, and when you look at Alex, right, he's getting ready to fight Holloway for the 3rd time, and he's already beaten him twice. To me, that really like blows my mind. Like, just you beat the guy twice, and now you got to fight him a 3rd time. Is it easier? Is it harder?
You do it. I don't know. For me, like yeah, like the first matchup is kind of leans towards it's like in Alex's favor, right? Because he got to sit back and watch Holloway for all of these years, or be the champion and go on this crazy run, like, and that's a guy you're going to fight one day because you want to fight for the title. So you get to study him, you get to go like, well, I would do this against him. So you kind of come into the championship fight with a loaded deck, whereas you've been trying to fight the champion or preparing fight the champion for a year or 2 years. The champion's only had a couple of months to get ready to fight you. So the advantage is kind of in your corner. Then in the rematch, like, they get to see your hand, right? They got to see the way that you approach the fight. Holloway then gets to go away, like, look at the skills that he picked, the adjustments that he made. He gets to go, well, I'm going to do this to counter. So I feel like the rematch, the advantage was in Holloway's, right? Because Alex had shown him his cards. Holloway adjusted. Holloway came back. But now I feel like the deck is now stacked back in Alex's hands because Holloway's shown his cards. Now it's time for Alex to go away and adjust. Alex goes away and adjusts and makes those things. Like, it's just both guys are, it's an interesting fight because both guys have shown their hands, right? They both of them have shown what they want to do. Now it's like comes down to who can be more effective with it.
And who's going to bring something that's unexpected, right? Who's going to bring that unexpected factor? Like, is
very, very difficult to do at the level that they're at. Like, who knows what Holloway's like 15, 16 UFC fights, like something crazy. Like, it's very difficult to show something new at that stage of your career.
It is. Will Holloway try to go in there and wrestle Volk? Would that be a possibility? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, would it be surprising? Yes. But would it be effective? It's hard to say. You know what I mean? Because Volk's such a good wrestler.
Volk's a nugget. Volk's a nugget. That's a silly idea. I think he'll get shredded if he tries to grab him.
Yeah. I grappled with Volk. He's pretty fucking strong. Like,
so strong, bro. Yeah. So strong, bro.
Yeah,
he's a little nugget. Like, that's a strong dude. That's a strong dude for however he is.
What about Kai, man? Kai is like, and I said that to somebody else too. When you looked at like when you looked at all the fighters that were coming out of City Kickboxing, I think Kai kind of like was, I don't know if he was kind of like in the background for a long time. You know what I mean? And as the crew, the crew that's coming out, the fighters that are coming out, and he kind of, in the last two fights, he became like his like own separate thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but it's kind of like he became his own separate name, and now because he's fighting for the title, it's like people are starting to jump on the bandwagon a lot more because of the last couple of fights. But he was fighting like that for a while. It's just that, I think Izzy was doing so well. You're doing your thing, and Volk and everybody, but now it's like his turn. Like everybody always says, I'm just gonna wait my turn. It's my time. It's like his time now, right? Do you see that?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I get what you mean. Like, he's made like huge developments in like his mentality in the last short space of time. Like, within the last year, like, there's been just huge leaps and bounds. Like, he's a father now, he's a husband now, so he's got like his own family, and he's really matured a lot, like mentally, over the last few years. And I feel like that was like just the missing piece that he had left for his puzzle. Interesting for me because I've been watching the kid since he was like 16, 17 years old. Like, it's been interesting for me to sit there and watch him, because I always knew that everything was going to come together at some stage. So it's very interesting for me to then sit there and watch him perform the way he's performing, and everyone else to kind of see what I knew he was capable of. Really, this is what I've been expecting of him at some stage the whole time. So it's incredible, and I feel like this Moreno fight is it's completely different to the first fight, and that fight was incredibly impressive from Kai, dropping him and it being an incredibly close fight. But the Kai that went in there the first time and then the Kai that's stepping in the second time is a completely different animal.
Yeah, it is. It is a completely different animal. I feel like his striking has just reached a different level in the last couple of fights. Like he's just more accurate, and just the placement of his strikes have been phenomenal. And you've seen it. You know what I mean? He's fucking smoking guys. But yeah, I'm so excited for him. You know what I mean? Because he's only like 24, like 25. I think he's only like 25 still, and he has like more fights than guys that are like 35.
Nah, I think he's old now. It's quite funny that we still call him the kid, and he's like 27 or 28 or something, and he got his own kid. Because I think he's even older than that, bro. I think he's like, you gotta click on your little computer. I think he's like 29, bro. Because I think he's the same age as my missus. And I'm like, because she was like, I'll call him the kid, and my wife's like, he's older than me. You can't call him a kid. I'm just like, I don't know. He'll always be the kid.
Yeah, he's always the kid. Everybody that I know that knows him, they call him the kid.
Kid.
He's 29. Damn, why
did
I
29.
think he was
29. Yeah.
I thought he was 24. I don't know why.
Yeah, he's older than my wife.
So
he's older than my wife, and I call him the kid.
Kai is yeah, man. He's been through it, man. He's been through it. Yeah, before we head out, man, I just wanted to talk about the lightweight division. You told me after that fucking what fight was it? Was it the Oliveira fight? You told me like, yes, they're gonna do Islam and Oliveira in Abu Dhabi, and that's what's probably gonna happen now. It's gonna happen. I think UFC 281.
They're gonna keep dragging the Beneil fight along. They're gonna keep pulling Beneil out for being injured, and then just blame it on that, right? They're just gonna blame it on that and be like, "Well, we tried, but he kept getting injured." It's all part of what we call it, the Ali shuffle.
Yeah, the Ali
shuffle. All the Ali shuffle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Deck's been getting stacks since day one. Don't come at me. Don't. It is what it is. It is what it is. You just paying these guys to come in there on short notice. It is what it is.
Well, 281. What does it say right here? It says UFC 281, October 22nd. The reason why I say that is because I've been hearing that. You remember, those tournaments that they did in Singapore? Now they got to do the second round of the tournaments. And from what I'm hearing is that fight week, UFC 281 fight week in Abu Dhabi, they're going to have the second round of the tournaments there. And then on Saturday,
they're going to fly all those guys to Abu Dhabi.
Exactly.
Oh.
That's what they're going to do, So
that's interesting.
So they're going to have the tournament.
All the road to UFC guys, they're going to fly to Abu Dhabi instead.
Yeah. And most likely they're going to have like those, like one-off contender series type fights. If you do well, the UFC probably sign you like they did with the Chinese light heavyweight. So I think they're going to start pushing out a lot of the Australian, New Zealand guys on that. They did have an Australian guy fight last week in Singapore.
Yeah, I don't think they're. Yeah. Steve. Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen him fight like a few times.
I think he fought for Eternal, if I'm correct. Yeah.
Yeah, he's fought.
But man, when I watched him fight, because I was there, when I watched him fight, I expected more. Man, he just got completely manhandled by this 19-year-old Japanese kid. I did not expect it. The kid looked like he was 15. Like his body looked like a 15-year-old. He acted like a little 15-year-old kid, but when he went in there, he can grapple like a motherfucker and just went in there and choked the shit out of the dude. But yeah, so Australian fighters, hopefully they start pumping you guys through to
hopefully they start feeding them through. Like that's one, right? In the last road to UFC. But yeah, I could definitely see it. I think they'll hold off until events start getting held down here. Because obviously, like that's where new signings and local guys like really thrive, and it really makes like the most sense for the UFC if there's a UFC Sydney or UFC Melbourne or UFC Auckland. So when it comes home, just to pack the thing out early, you know what I mean? Because I've fought on the prelims there or the Fight Pass prelims early on in my career in places like that or places close to home. And it packs it out early. Like they put you on the first fight of the prelims and the stadium's full because everyone wants to see like the hometown guy really go out there and thrive. So I just think because we haven't been able to do shows down here in our region is why we haven't really seen like an influx in local signings. But with everything opening up, I think they scrap like pre-departure tests coming to New Zealand, like coming next week. That is obviously like a massive help with getting these things moving, and hopefully we see an event down here in New Zealand or Australia before the end of the year, and some local guys getting their opportunity to step inside the octagon.
Yeah, there's a lot of hungry guys right now in New Zealand, Australia, that just need a chance, man. I think that next year will be full blast back into full motion. People are traveling, and shows will be going on all over the world, man. If they could put a show on, you know what's funny about the Singapore show is like one championship. You know, they have their shows in the same arena. And they've been having shows, but they've had no crowd, no media, and they would have shows in that arena. And then the next week, the UFC comes, and it's a packed arena show, but one championship is doing no crowd shows in the same arena. How do you explain that? Like, what is going on? Like, well, how does the UFC get to have a crowd, but is one championship just not want a crowd?
I don't think one championship can sell tickets anyway. Like, no, I haven't not been a hater or anything. Like, that's someone keeps posting up their business model, and it just doesn't look like that effective.
Business model.
Someone every time you get a financial review come through, you see how bullshit their stats they're throwing out there is. They're $60 million in the hole by the looks of things.
Yeah, financial review. Yeah, it's like.
But they were like, it comes out in those financial reviews, like how many tickets they give away, and you get to see that most of the tickets to their shows are comps. Like they get like a reasonable amount of people there, but yeah, like of course someone's gonna go. Imagine if the UFC gave out free tickets, like every man and their dog would be there. It changes things a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, right, ONE FC throwing you under the bus, but I think everyone knows that
it's public knowledge. Let's just say that
public knowledge. No one buys tickets, and 2 billion people don't watch your show. I think that's public knowledge.
Potential viewers. That's what potential. Yeah, potential. Hey, we have 2 billion potential viewers for this show. You know what I mean? So I'm just throwing it out there.
Why don't we mix that into the marketing? You know what I mean?
Like, we're gonna have to have an intro song and
7 billion
3 billion
potential viewers.
Yeah, yes. And we'll be like to the 2 billion fans in India.
You could
potentially watch
it. Potential viewers.
It's wild. But I think the UFC is gonna have like, what is it, 10 weeks in a row of shows? It's pretty fucking insane, man.
Mad.
Do you like that? Do you like every weekend just boom, boom, boom? You're getting your feed, like your feed of MMA violence every week. Do you like that?
Yeah, oh, man, it's great watching the fights. Probably not gonna watch next week because they're 2 scumbags. But besides that, I watch Carlos and then I'll switch it off because I'll watch Neil. Watch my man Neil get out there. Then I'm switching off because I don't want to see those scumbags get in that octagon.
Every lightweight, just pretty much, just
pack of scumbags. Yeah. Pack of scumbags. A lot of them.
Yeah. They were never your friends. They were never your friends. They were never your buddies, right? They're just fucking
never. I hate a lot of them.
All right.
Every last one of them. Pooh.
Great way to end it, man. Fuck everybody. All right. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll be back next week with another show. Yeah, man. We'll see you guys. Dan.